Now, I'm going to tell you, Jake Retzlaff is going to join us right now, and I'm a little disappointed, Jake. I wanted the T-shirt. I needed the T-shirt at Coot Connect that talked about the BYU, because I saw the article, and you might be the most famous guy ever on the show because you actually have an article at Bro Bible about yourself, Jake. Like, that's a huge accomplishment in a man's life.
Appreciate it, man.
How are you, dude? Good to see you.
Doing good. How are you guys?
Lifting weights with the BYU sweatshirt.
Yeah, the BYU workout sweatshirt. This one's sweet. I think this is my favorite one, to be honest with you.
Is it does it make a difference that Nike made that sweatshirt?
Oh,
How
there's
good
no
is
doubt.
the apparel at BYU?
There's no doubt. I mean, that logo is everything, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, it's sewn in. It's everything.
I agree. It's awesome. All right, past the awkwardness. Let's talk about your journey to BYU, because this is the number one thing I'm asked by BYU fans. It's not close. The number one thing I am asked is, why is Jake Retzlaff at BYU? And I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Do we make too much about faith and, it being in the Jewish community versus being in the LDS community? Like, do we make too much out of that?
A little bit, I would say. But then again, it is the huge headline. It's the big thing about, like, why is this Jew at BYU, especially the LDS community, you know what I mean? But it's definitely blown up bigger than it needs to be. But, I got here because of the great opportunity that every other non-LDS member comes here for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think it's that uncommon, the reason I'm here. But it is amplified that I'm Jewish because there's like 5 of us in the entire school and only 1 athlete or 2 athletes. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely
it is a unique experience, and I think that a lot of people don't understand that. Yes, BYU is different, but you are a Southern California guy, right? You are somebody who you had your choices of routes to take. Like, you've always been a prolific quarterback. Like, your numbers are not normal numbers. Like, you put up incredible numbers. Why did you end up at BYU?
I tell you what, the Big 12 was a glaring opportunity for sure. There's no doubt about that. And then just like the quarterback prowess of the school, it's uncommon, especially and you get twofold. It's like a lot of schools will have history and they'll be able to like flex, legends of the game, and BYU can do that. But then you also have the recency of guys getting drafted 2nd overall, like Zach Wilson and then Jaron Hall last year. Like, you have both of those. And so it was like, I mean, how could you say no to that? BYU's always had a quarterback who is, top of the country in every other stat. And so it's like, why not? It's like, that guy's, if I know that coach is going to put me in the best opportunity to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, then that's the spot I need to be at.
Yeah. And how was your relationship with Keaton Slovis? Because I think when you are the guy and you come into BYU and then right off the bat, you're not the guy and you're behind Keaton, like, how does that impact the quarterback room? How does that impact your relationship with him?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, coming in, I knew Keaton he'd been in college football for so long that it was, to me, I was like, well, I can learn from this guy. I can learn, how he navigates himself, how he navigates the media, how he navigates all these different things. And so that's kind of something I looked into him for. And he's always been a cool dude. If you go talk to him, he's one of the most chill dudes I've met, pretty, down to earth and stuff like that. And so it was easy to get along with him from the beginning. And so we got along fine. And, there's people think in sports there's a lot more tension than there is. If I'm being honest with you, like, in that quarterback room, like, we're not opponents at all times. And I think people think that's my rival or something like that when you're trying to battle for a quarterback job, and especially the way it ended up of him getting hurt and me coming in. It's not like, oh, I don't like that guy because he's trying to do what I'm trying to do. It's more like, we're cool off the field, and off the field, we're just people and we're just quarterbacks. And so we actually have a lot in common. And so we can get along great, and we can talk about sports teams, and he's a big Arizona sports fan. And so we would just go, have fun with that. And then on the field, it's like, that's on the field. You don't bring what's on the field off the field. And so we had a great relationship, and, I wish him the best in his next step in his career. And, I hope it works out for him and stuff like that. And, but no, it was cool to have Keaton, a veteran, around last year. I think it helped.
Yeah, how much did you play baseball in high school? I also played baseball in high school. And I thought that was really cool to be a multi-sport athlete. How much of your baseball experience follows you onto the football field as a quarterback? Because we hear that all the time in the media that,
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes played baseball, and you see these sidearm throws. I've seen the video clips of you, dropping the arm angle. How much does your time as a baseball player affect your ability as a quarterback?
I mean, a ton. I think I attribute a lot of my game to baseball. I played shortstop growing up and even in high school. And so, I mean, just the non-specialization, I think, pays off a lot at this level. And I think that's weird for people to understand. It's weird for people to understand that you don't need to spend all your time on one sport as a kid. Like, the best way I could put it is by playing baseball, I was getting better at football, even though it looked like I was playing baseball. And so, like when you're fielding ground balls as a shortstop and you field ground balls a million different ways and you throw across the diamond a million different ways. And at quarterback, when you like train a lot of times, you're like throwing the ball, you're dropping back the same way and throw the ball the same way, even though if it's a little further or something like that. And so, like when you be able to adapt that into your football game, it's fun, and you get all the arm angles and you get all the out of pocket stuff, the improvisation stuff that you see guys like Mahomes doing in the league right now. And so, I think it's awesome that I got to do that, and that's what I would encourage any young quarterback is play baseball, I play basketball too. I think basketball a lot helped me understand space. You know what I mean? And so like all these different things, they contributed to where I'm at now. And I love the game of baseball. I'll tell you that much. Like I was playing last spring, I played intramural slow pitch softball. Where I just hit bombs the entire time.
Let's go.
It was actually an out if you hit it over the fence. Now the fence was way back there, but it was an out. So you had to hit a hard line drive that got to the fence on a couple bounces and then just run around the diamond as fast as possible. And so that's what I did most of the time. It was fun. And I had my a teacher with me on that team and some of the guys. And so after advertising that in the locker room, so many guys coming up to me right now like, "Hey dude, when are we gonna start playing intramural softball?" I'm like, dude, tell you right now, the football team is going to win intramural softball in the spring. You guys can mark my words on that one.
You better. You better. Can you imagine losing? That would be terrible. It's funny as a non-athletic, softball player myself. I was a baseball player and a basketball player, and I could not hit the ball over that fence. That was I have not heard that about the ball going over the fence being an out in years. Because I was the guy who hit it over the fence and it was an out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think they get the rule because they don't want to go chase down the softball in the street. You know what I mean? Yeah. They got to get in a golf cart or something and run over there. They probably don't have a golf cart on them. So they're just like the funding for intramurals can't afford an extra softball or two.
Oh my God.
But that fence is really far back there. If you guys saw the field, it is a really far fence. So like if you hit it to the fence, if they got a guy out there who's not athletic and have a decent arm, then you're scoring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they got an athlete, an ex-baseball player back there, if you played in high school or something, he runs over, throws the ball in, then you're maybe a triple, but he has to be deep to start with in order for that to happen.
And by the way, I'm not sure that you know this, and I don't think anybody's probably ever told you this. You run well. You have a little, you got some legs there, Retzlaff. I think that's one of the things that I think you truly bring. But I want to go back one thing real quick. You talked about the Big 12 opportunity. Why was the Big 12 why is it an opportunity and why was it attractive to you?
I mean, it's the top in the country. It is that level that you aspire to go play at. If you want to play at, against the best of the best, this is where you play at the Power 5 football level, and then after that you move on to the NFL. And I know that Power 5 football gets you the next opportunity to go to the NFL. And the crazy thing about the Big 12 is it's so like malleable. It's like the top and the bottom are so close, in my opinion. I think it's the most competitive conference in college football. And so that was always appealing to me. Like you go anywhere and you can be, the underdog by so many points and you can go put up a fight and, possibly come out with one. And that's just appealing to me. It's like when you get to face all those top schools in the country, and something we learned this week is there really is no off week in the Big 12. Like there is no week that you could just take it easy. It's go, 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 go for 14 weeks straight, something like that. And 9 weeks of conference play. And last year we had an SEC school right before conference play. So it was really like 12 weeks to 10 weeks of just go get it, go after it. And it's a lot of fun. And, I think as a team last year, we learned what it's like. You can't just come off 1 week winning and then go to the next week like, oh, we're supposed to win that one. We'll just win it. You got to go get it. And so that's something we're coming with this year. That's going to be a little different. And it's just the competition level is just different. You can't go play in the Mountain West and see this, and you can't go play in any Group of 5 conference to see this. And so, and like I said, my favorite part is the fact that the top and the bottom are so close. You know what I mean? It's especially and it's not a huge skill gap. It's whatever team's going to show up that day and put it on the field.
Yeah, it truly, and I think we make too much out of this. We were just talking about this with the Super Bowl. At some point, a player's got to make a play. And obviously, as a quarterback, you've got to make plays, because I think your coaches on the regular, you're not the head coach and the offensive coordinator and the wide receiver coach and the QB coach at BYU if you don't have an idea how to prepare players. You have the coaching staff to prepare you. At some point, don't you guys just have to get together as 11 guys in a big moment and make a play?
Yeah, that's the truth. And we had last year we're at Oklahoma State in a rowdy environment with those paddles that the student section slams on the wall. And there's like 50 seconds to go. We're down 3. You look around the huddle, and we struggled the second half offensively. In the first half, we were a lot better. And you're just like, all right, boys, let's go get it. And 2-minute drill is probably my favorite part of football ever. I mean, if you ask any of the guys in my locker room, they're like, 2-minute drill? Oh, yeah, Jake's all over that. Jake loves that. And so when we came up with that opportunity, it's like, and it's not even that a lot needs to be said. It's felt. It's known. You know what I mean? It's not, you don't need to remind a guy that this is the biggest moment of the game. You know what I'm saying? They know. Yeah. And so you just look around like, let's go get it, baby. Let's go get it. And
but you got to do your job, though. And I think we talk about these key words, and I'm not trying to get off in the weeds or anything, but yeah. I look at games like Super Bowls or Stillwater, or you pick your biggest games of your life, and you won in those moments because everybody from the tight end to the tackle to the running back to the wide receiver didn't break that route a yard short of the first down. The quarterback didn't throw it off frame. Like, at some point when you're standing in that huddle as a quarterback, and maybe or maybe not, you admit this, I don't know, but do you know who's going to do their job? Do you have, in that moment, are you thinking about that, or are you just putting the play in and making that thing happen?
To be honest, it's more of a group belief versus an individual belief. You know what I mean? And so, sure, certain guys might show up differently on different plays, and that might benefit us, but I'm going into every play believing that my guy's going to do his job right, and every guy. And if a route is, if a play is designed for this route, then I'm looking at that guy. All right, I believe in that guy. You know what I mean? It's more of a group belief in that sense. It's not like, oh, I have one guy that's going to get it done. And sure, we have some special guys, some special individuals, but I'm telling you, if you're on the field in those moments, you are a special individual.
Well, and I'm going to ask you about Cody Epps, because I'm a huge Cody Epps believer. I think he's an NFL caliber wide receiver. But my dude's got to get on the field, and I think when he's on the field, how do you take advantage of him? Because I look at Cody, and I expected last year to be a breakout season for him, and it just didn't happen. And a lot of it was your best ability is your availability, and he missed a lot of time last year. But what do you guys on offense have to do to get the most out of Cody Epps?
Well, that's my favorite saying about ability right there, is the best ability is availability. And, he struggled with offseason injuries last year. And so he didn't have a full offseason. And I think people don't understand what that means. Like, having a injury like he did last year, or any guy who's coming off an injury in the offseason, had to rehab all offseason, miss spring ball and miss summer workouts and stuff like that. It's just the understanding of the impact that makes, I think, is huge and crucial. And so Cody's having a great offseason so far already, and we're only a couple, weeks in, or a month or two in. And I got huge belief for that guy. That guy, I mean, he's a great athlete. And I tell you, with the ball in his hands, he makes some guys look like fools out there. He makes some guys look like they should be playing intramural softball. It's kind of wild the way he moves out there. And so it's awesome once I get the ball in his hand. You go to games like Oklahoma. He had a great game against Oklahoma. I hit him on a couple option routes, and he took one up the sideline for a bunch of yards. I hit on a sprint out, 4th and 1. We run a sprint out play, and he's spotting up, and he's just available and open. And that's that kind of play where it's like, okay, that first initial, route, that first half of the play wasn't open. So now let's extend it and let's keep going. And then Cody finds himself an opening and runs downfield and makes the guy fall on his face, I think. And No, it's Cody with the ball in his hands is pretty awesome. I love it, and that's why I try to get the ball in his hands. That's why he's a great option runner for us, and we run a decent amount of that stuff. And so, Cody's just a great athlete. The key is that availability with that guy. You know what I mean? And so we're conscious of that, and so he's not doing it. We're not doing anything stupid and overworking this, so far. And once we get into spring ball, we know we're going to get a lot of reps, and those are going to be valuable because he didn't have those last year, and we didn't have those last year, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Talking to Jake Retzlaff, BYU quarterback. Thanks to our friends at Big O Tires and American Fork. Where are you with NIL? Because, we hear a lot about, obviously NIL is front and center. Obviously NIL is a big deal. Do you embrace NIL? Are you excited about NIL? I know that you're somebody, we expect you to be the starting quarterback at BYU. Like, how have you utilized NIL, and do you feel like BYU puts you in a position to succeed with NIL?
I think so. Yeah. I think BYU looks out for our best interest with NIL. And I think honestly, the biggest thing is like the reason I'm so with NIL is because you get so many guys from different backgrounds that honestly would have a hard time even being on scholarship at a place, at a football school, and obviously the scholarship, that they do a great job of, all the outside needs and stuff like that. And NIL just gives us a bigger opportunity to, have a car that isn't breaking down every 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Have these little extra things that are going to help us. And a lot, ends up helping us on the field. If we're not worrying about so much off the field, we can be better on the field. And so I think that's the great part about NIL. And, obviously the top guys are making a lot of money and can do, and it's almost like, do you even want to go to the NFL? You're making so much money in college where you got, less stuff to worry about. And but no, obviously NFL is the goal. But no, NIL I think is good. I think it's great for a lot of things. I think there's a hurdle though. There's a threshold of guys' attitudes towards NIL, and I think that honestly, it's one of those things that's like you need to be appreciative for it, but understand that the reason you're getting it's on the field, and don't be worried about it so much. I think that can happen to people is they get too caught up in, oh, how much am I getting paid and how much am I doing outside of football? And it's like, especially, with the collectives and being formed and stuff like that, it's like that's all great stuff, but it's important that the focus doesn't end up on money. It's focused up on the game and, your life and what you're doing there. So I think NIL is great. And, but money's the root of all evil is a saying for a reason, you know what I mean? And so I think that when guys aren't focused the right way, it can be brutal and it can be tough for a lot of people. But when guys are focused the right way, it could be great. It could be just make your life easier and, make your family's life easier. Cause, I know guys who, get NIL money. The first thing they're doing is sending it back home to their parents so they can, make their life easier, help pay rent for them and help, you know what I mean? And so I think it can be an amazing thing for guys, especially guys who come from tough backgrounds.
But it surprises me that, whether it's Nick Saban retiring or I think we're at a real critical time in college football, Jake, and obviously you're in the middle of it. I don't know what you think, but you're looking at a time and a place where the focus isn't even necessarily on players right now. You have all of these coaches that are leaving coordinator jobs or head coaching jobs in college football to go be a coordinator at the NFL level. Is college football, in your opinion, is college football thriving? Is college football healthy? Like, because I just feel like the game has changed so much, and all we're talking about is portal and NIL. And yeah, hey, we have these great games in the college football playoff, but we're talking about conferences melting down. Like, so in your mind, is college football healthy? Is it thriving?
I'll tell you what, the Pac-12 going under is, it doesn't make sense, and it's like, the fall of the Pac-12 is a little bit comical because of the way they performed this year. The Pac-12 was one of the top conferences in the country this year. Washington, obviously, on top of that. It's like it didn't make sense to me. The revenue that the Pac-12 is bringing in doesn't make sense to their collapse. Bringing a guy, a Deion Sanders comes in the conference, and how much Colorado's market value just shot up. You know what I mean? A guy like that, Lincoln Riley being at USC and only his second, third year. It's like, how are you letting this conference dissolve? I don't understand. I don't know the details on why it collapsed. I know it did collapse, and I know that there's no reason it should have collapsed. And it's just wild. And so now it's Power 4 football, and I got to correct myself from earlier for saying Power 5, and so now it's P4. And I guess here we go. You know what I mean? I think it's more with the Portland stuff. It kind of helps players a lot, I think, because you've always had these, coaches can get up and go wherever they want and leave as long as they have a job opportunity whenever they want. And so players were just kind of sitting there like, all right, we're stuck here. If we leave, we're getting in trouble. We got to sit here. If we, you know what I mean? And so you're stuck in your situation a lot of times. And so coaches always have the ability to leave. And so when a coach has the ability to leave, it makes sense that a player can have the ability to leave. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's given the player the freedom to control his own destiny, which is, now that portal is a bet on yourself. It's a bet. Okay, am I going to get out to a better place? And sometimes it doesn't work out right the correct way. And but other times you've seen how many times on TV you hear and transfer from so and so, and he just made a huge impact, and he's making a huge impact. You know what I mean? So
look at all these court cases. Look at all these court cases about knocking out the transfer restrictions, and I think at some point. I hope at some point we get back to a place where we're just on the field and talking football, because I think it's remarkable. Well, Jake, it's good to see you, my guy. I appreciate you joining the show. I appreciate Big O Tires and American Fork picking up the segment so that you can join us every Wednesday at 7:30 and go lift all them weights. And we'll talk to you next week, man.
Sweet. Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
All right. There you go. Jake Retzlaff, the starting quarterback at BYU. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That he's a really, when you don't talk to guys on the regular, you just hear about them. Hearing a guy like about Jake Retzlaff, and everybody says what a good dude he is. Everybody says he's super down to earth, but what a smart, intelligent, well-spoken dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that Big 12 portion that he talked about is a big deal, man. Being excited about playing those big brands in the Big 12.
But did you have to bring up the baseball player thing?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, I was a baseball player, Jake.
Listen, man. Listen, my name's Jake. His name's Jake.
We're kindred spirits, bro.
Baseball. Like, I had to bring it up.
We're bros.
Now, I was going to, and we had to let Jake get back to his business. But next week, we're asking him about the Holy War. We're asking him about playing Utah, because the Pac-12 melting down, that's one of the only positive side effects of the Pac-12 meltdown is, hey, we get Utah and BYU back again.